Hello and welcome to the Anime Happy Hour podcast. I'm Jonathan and I'm joined here tonight by my two co-hosts. First we got Kirkland.
Oh, is that me? Yeah, hi.
Yeah, that is you. And lastly, but certainly not least, we got Jake.
That is in fact
the
me.
least as well.
Oh wow.
In case this is your first time joining us, we are the Anime Happy Hour podcast, where every week we get together, have a drink, discuss the world of anime and what's going on in it, while sharing our thoughts and opinions on various topics from episode to episode. Before we get started, got a few disclaimers for everybody. While we are an anime podcast, we are also an adult podcast, so there's occasional swearing. We also discuss recent events in episodes of both new and old shows, so here's your big spoiler warning before we dive into the episode. Lastly, these are our own personal opinions, as I'm sure everybody has their own opinion on every topic that we may discuss. Please refrain from getting too upset with our views on these specific events or shows. We'd love to hear your feedback regarding anything that's going on with the show, so feel free to hit us up on any of our social media or email. Feel free to look up Anime Happy Hour Podcast on Facebook. You can hit the @ symbol, Anime Happy Hour Pod 03. Search that right in the Facebook page too. Or you can email us at animehappyhour951@gmail.com. You can also check out all the links to our podcast at anchor.fm/happyanimehour03. All right, well, I guess let's dive right into the show. Jake, what are we drinking tonight?
So I went downstairs to check about the whiskey situation, and apparently someone else in this house besides me drinks whiskey, which I didn't know. And so for the third week in a row, I got a gin and tonic.
Got to start switching it up a little bit. Start making liquor store runs with
I'm
me.
gonna have to. I know. I just. I'm a pretty boring person.
Yeah, you took my spot in that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Kirk, you got anything poured up tonight?
I have. What do I have? I have Cape Cod Cranberry Dry.
Oh, okay.
It's not even alcohol. It's just cranberry soda.
I mean, gotta take a break every once in a while, I guess. Me, I kind of doubled up tonight. I started with a beer, forgot that it was open, and then poured myself a drink. I got a Smutty Nose Brewery Raspberry Lime Ricky. It's a sour.
Nice.
And then, obviously, so a buddy of mine sent me a picture saying that Mountain Dew was originally made to be mixed with whiskey. So I had to go get some Mountain Dew and get some whiskey. I got some Stillhouse brought out.
Who lied to you like that?
No,
It's true. Supposedly that
Mountain Dew was created as a whiskey mixer.
Like a... Is it...
it tastes pretty good. I can't deny it. I mean, it does flow pretty well. So I had to go get myself a bottle of Mountain Dew, and I broke out the Stillhouse.
Supposed to be like a whiskey sour?
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, that actually it does kind of give you that taste. It might actually just be without having to do everything by hand. I mean, whatever. Goes down and tastes all right to me.
Knock it till you try it, Kirky.
Yeah.
I'm going to be knocking it forever then. Wait. No,
Just
I'm
like
never.
the Sambuca.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think you already had it in your mind you weren't going to like it.
Because it's black licorice. It's just NyQuil. Only without... Well, I mean, NyQuil is pretty much alcohol anyways. It's just terrible. It's black licorice. It's gross.
Ah, buddy. Sometimes I worry about you.
Yeah, well. That's been going on for years. I've known him forever, so...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's dive right into our news then. Let me start off with a little PSA. Let everybody know we apologize for kind of the sporadic uploads lately. We've had a few issues as far as uploading's been concerned. we're hoping to have everything ironed out at this point. So hopefully everything goes off smoothly this week, and we can have our upload schedule back to normal after this week. So thanks for sticking it out with us. Everything will be posted up just like usual. I'm going to have everything down and uploaded on Friday morning. So look out for that. All right, well, for the first news article we got for tonight is Attack on Titan Season 4 returns January 2022. It's going to finish off the second half of the final season and completely adapt the remainder of the story followed in the manga. Are we excited for the conclusion of
Does
finally?
anybody even watch Attack on Titan anymore? Like, is that still a thing?
I guess.
I didn't even finish the first half of season 4.
Yeah, the animation kind of turned me off to
Yeah.
it. Switching everything up this last season.
Yeah. I'll probably catch up and watch the second half of season 4 just to see how the story ends, but you know, the animation just doesn't do it. I think it went from one of the best anime to like a mid-tier with the animation change.
Oh, for sure. When it first dropped, like it first came out, it was crazy. I mean,
the whole arc, like the beginning of the arc where they cross the ocean, right? I don't know the name of it. I don't care to know the name of it. Like, any of you that are watching that watch Attack on Titan, like, you're part of the problem with anime.
I mean, they go to
whatever.
Marley?
When they go to
yeah,
Marley,
when they go to
sure.
Marley.
It's just, I don't know. It's one of the... I watched like the first couple episodes, even though I wasn't caught up, and I'm just like, this isn't even Attack on Titan anymore. Like, the second it stopped turning from like, oh my gosh, this is dark, everybody's dying, we have to kill the Titans. As soon as it switched from like that to like more of a drama, I lost interest.
Yeah, a war between the two.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Kirkle-dinger. You didn't catch up on season 3?
The last thing I remember is Zeke. We find out Zeke is the Beast Titan. That's the last thing I remember. I'm way behind, dude.
Alright, here's what I'm gonna say. Your take is completely incorrect.
I like the plot.
Hold on.
I mean, the plot's there.
It's gotten so much darker since they crossed the ocean. I think the story has gotten better and better, and like the arc that they're in now, after revealing, you care if I
No, go ahead,
spoil? After you find out that the Titans are actually just like prisoners that are sent there and changed into Titans, and the entire like race of people or ethnicity of people inside the wall are Eldians, right? And outside of the wall, they're enslaved everywhere, and those are those enslaved Eldians that are sent to that island and turned into Titans. So it's essentially people eating their own kind.
Oh,
And then they travel across in order to liberate the island, because the scapegoat, the Paradise Island is like the scapegoat for the entire world. And all their like cruelty, so they want to destroy the island. So from we're the last surviving humanity trying to survive the Titans, to actually the rest of the world wants us dead, and now we're gonna have to destroy the rest of the world to survive. I think it's gotten significantly better and much more dark. The animation is just doesn't what it does.
You know what did it for Attack on Titan for me is there's all this hype, right? It's like, yo, let's get to the basement. Let's get to the basement. For the longest time, it was just get to the Jaeger's basement. What was in that basement, Jake?
Yeah, but you haven't gotten to the
I lied.
basement yet.
I do remember I did get to the basement. Jake, you want to tell me what was in that basement?
The entire revelation that they're not the last
book. It was a fucking book. I'm sitting here.
Kirky, that's an ignorant take, guy.
Like, it could have been a magical book. I don't care. Like, something more interesting. Instead, it's a book. And it goes, a book of the natural world. It might have just been it was a fucking encyclopedia. They spend fucking, 40, 60, 70 episodes trying to get to this point, and it's a fucking encyclopedia sitting in a desk drawer. Like, oh, wow, great. I'm so happy I fucking lived up to this moment. All this anticipation to find, like, the next biggest Titan, this, that, whatever, fucking the key to the Titans, this or something. Nah, it's a fucking encyclopedia.
It's the information in the book, dude. The information changed the perspective of their entire world.
Woohoo!
I mean, we could go on for days about this, especially with Kirk.
Hey,
too.
Starting to get heated.
You too.
I didn't even like season 4, and I'm
So
starting
there
to get
was the
heated.
disclaimer about you guys not throwing us hate and shade. If you want to throw hate and shade at me, I welcome it, because Attack on Titan is garbage.
And I'm sure there's plenty of people who are
They're
going to disagree with
roast
you
me.
on that.
I don't care. You know what? Seasons 1 and 2, great, top tier. Like, if I was to rate it solely off of that, I'd give Attack on Titan probably like an 8 out of 10. But like, when you throw in, the rest of it, it's just garbage. I'd give it a solid 5, borderline average, okay anime.
Jake's looking at her.
Hey Jake, you want to hear my take on One Piece? It's a little bit better than Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, Kirk. You don't want to go there.
All right.
Well, before
I
this
don't
gets
care that much about Attack on Titan, but
before we get too deep into this, I guess we should move on to the next one before there's a brawl. Next thing you know, Kirk's gonna be or Jake's gonna be showing up in
Massachusetts.
at Kirk's doorstep. Knock knock.
I already told him when he least expects it.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll dive into number 2 here. A new Japanese prime minister recently made promises to improve the income of anime and manga industries in Japan. Fun fact, actually, he is an avid fan of Demon Slayer. So he's definitely somebody who watches anime. How do we feel about this? Do we like, dislike? I mean,
I think it's good. I mean, it's a known fact that anime producers, artists, studios in general are wildly undervalued and underpaid.
especially in Japan. I mean, it's so big in Japan. Like, it's one thing if like you have like a
in order to
congressman or somebody around here, like in
Johnny,
the U.S.,
spoiler
saying something.
alert. Yes, it is the prime minister of Japan saying something, but like, what's the number one thing in order to be an anime? It's got to be made to where? Japan.
Yeah.
But
I disagree
how would
with
you
that.
disagree?
Well, I mean,
It has to be produced by a Japanese animation studio. Whether it's in Japan or somewhere else, okay. But for it to be formal anime, it needs to be produced in Japan.
because I mean, well, isn't it considered something a little different when it's coming from a different country, Jake?
No.
I thought
There's Chinese anime, there's Korean anime.
I thought it was
there's
called something
anime.
different coming
The whole
from.
purpose of it being anime, though, is that it's literally Japanese film and culture. That's the point of it being an anime. Aside from that, it's like I don't want to say an adult animation because then that I think has other implications. But
You just dive
Well-
into different. Yeah.
I agree Japan does it the best, but films started in America, so are films made outside of America not films?
no,
Then anime made outside of Japan is still anime.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. I mean, I think just because I agree with you there. I just think that because of how
but
big it is as part of the culture in Japan, I think it holds a different level as far as like the prime minister is concerned. Like, it's going to affect. It's going to be affecting Japan differently than it would affect somewhere in the U.S. or affect somewhere in Europe or wherever it may be.
Well, I think Japan is like the motherland of anime, and they do it better than anyone else. But anime can still be made outside of Japan.
But it can't.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying this is because anime is quite literally Japanese animated film and culture. Like, it's the whole point of anime is that it's a cultural thing. It's not like Family Guy. Family Guy's
I mean,
an adult
technically, if
animated
you
show.
do look it up, Jake, I don't know what If you do technically
I'm
look it
talking
up,
about-
it says a style of Japanese film and television animation. The
Yeah, a style that is recreated everywhere else.
Okay, so, but if it's so,
You're saying that Castlevania, Avatar, all that's not anime? The King's Avatar.
No, I know. I'm just saying, as
I
far as like the definition is concerned, it is
I
Japanese structured. Anime itself is Japanese structured.
Yeah. I understand that, but I'm saying with that as the base, it is branched out and there is anime elsewhere emulating anime that comes from Japan.
I think for it to be formally recognized as an anime, it needs to be I need the native language, the initial language needs to be in Japanese. So Chinese and Korean anime is what I'll call it, is not formal anime.
Well, so it says anime is a Japanese loan word used to refer to any sort of animation. Outside of Japan and other countries, anime is generally considered to be a type of cartoon.
I guess.
So, I mean, it's technically just called a cartoon in other countries, even if it is anime structured like Japan.
Well, anyways, I'm glad the Prime Minister is going to pay people more. Good on him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the fact that he's into the world of anime too, and he's not just like a politician who's there trying to make a few bucks off of the business.
Yeah.
Like U.S. politicians would be. I mean, he's
Well,
going to take a different directive on it, at least, hopefully.
I'm hoping if he pours more money into the industry, it'll positively influence the quality of the anime that comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and hopefully it brings up some of like the smaller companies, like because I've seen so many shows that are like from smaller companies that just never get the funding or like spotlight that these huge companies always get.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, we're going to talk about one later on. I mean, Deadman, Wonderland. I mean, if that was released nowadays with with how popular anime has become and the way that the show was created in the first place, I don't think they would have gone under the way that they did.
Yeah.
10 years ago. So I mean, I think it's going to be positive. I hope he's doing this in a good manner. I'm hoping that in the future we can see a little bit more from a lot of different studios, and maybe it'll open up more pathways with other countries, and maybe make some decent live action films after all this.
Yeah, well, if the One Piece live action is trash and the Cowboy Bebop live action is trash, I'm giving up on them forever.
So,
The Cowboy Bebop one looks good.
I think the Cowboy Bebop one could be so good because, I mean, even like ship-wise, I feel like you could definitely get like Guardians of the Galaxy vibes as far as like the way they could take their characters, and the animation has been done before, like in the U.S. So I think
You ever seen
it being locked out.
Firefly?
Yeah.
No, isn't that like a sci-fi show?
So, yeah, Firefly was inspired by Cowboy Bebop, made by Joss Whedon in like the mid-2000s, and it was a great show. The mid-2000s technology did it for them. So as long as they can take their show, and from the trailer or the opening, they had a few scenes that kind of made it look like Firefly. As long as they can take what Firefly did right and use today's technology, I think it'll be a good show.
Yeah, the only thing is like I think they're just keeping it way too locked in as far as Japan, like in Japan is concerned. Like I don't think they're opening their doors as much when it comes to live action. And I mean, when it comes to casting, when it comes to any of the animation, the CGI and all that stuff is concerned, I've never really seen anything outside of their type animation. And I feel like that's what's holding a lot of these back is like not being partnered with any other companies that are gonna, maybe take the the action of the scenes a little bit to a higher quality.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. We got a few live action movies coming out pretty soon. So I'm sure we'll talk about them when they come out. Give our reviews, whether they're halfway decent or not. So
On the
you'll hear from us, definitely.
topic of Firefly, Nathan Fillion was in Firefly. Rip Cade 6.
Yeah.
For
Yep.
those of you that like Destiny, or don't like Destiny, claim to not like Destiny, but still play it on a daily basis like I do.
Did he die?
Cade
Did
6?
he die?
No, he's just
Yeah.
talking about Cade.
Well, Nathan
In the
Fillion's
show,
alive,
not-
but Cade 6 is dead.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking, did Cade 6
Yeah,
die
yeah,
in
he's
Destiny
gone.
2?
Yeah.
Dead.
That sucks.
It's been out for a while, so, if you're not caught up.
Yeah, I didn't play Destiny 2, but
You know, the
Hunter
one
or
character that
nothing
anybody cared
in
about.
Destiny 1.
Yeah, I actually liked it.
However,
Yeah.
Zavala I've warmed up to, and Saint 14 I've warmed up to, and
Which one's Zavala? Is that the Titan?
yeah, he's the Titan
leader?
in the
Yeah.
guard. And then Ikora is still dumb. Still hasn't done anything.
It'd be cool. I'd be open to see a Destiny anime.
Were they
Oh, yeah.
supposed to? No, they were supposed to make a Magic the Gathering anime on Netflix, and it got canceled. I think it was the Russo brothers that were going to do it. I forget what happened to it, though.
But all right. Well, on to number 3. The fall 2021 season has currently kicked off this past week.
Yes.
Airing a handful of new shows like Mushoku Tensei, The Haikyuu Story, Miruku-chan, and Restaurant in Another World, name a few. With many more to come. Make sure you keep checking that updated page on whatever you happen to watch your anime on to check out all these new shows coming out. That's just a little blurb there. Lastly, second to last, little spoiler warning here. This is 2 weeks in, our second weekend here, but last week's episode of Boruto, episode 218, showed us the death of our favorite nine-tailed fox, Kurama. Sacrificing himself to help Naruto and the others costed him all of his chakra and life force. With a touching outro song and a set of flashbacks showing all the years spent with Naruto before saying his final goodbyes. If we're basing our predictions off of the first episode of Boruto and what we've currently seen, what's our time frame for Naruto before he dies?
I don't know, but what now has to happen is I watch the first 10 episodes of Boruto, and then I watch the one episode where Kurama dies, and now I have to watch everything in between because I just need to know why it gets to the point that Kurama dies. I didn't care about Boruto.
Read the manga. The manga's
Is it
much shorter
better? Okay.
and better.
It gets
Yeah.
So let me put it
manga
this way:
has no
read the
filler,
manga for the
obviously.
story, but watch the fights for the animation. Because they do, the one thing I will say about Boruto is they do the fights right, the big fights.
Mm-hmm.
But the manga definitely shortens everything down, for sure. I had skipped around a bit too, and caught back up. There's a few episodes I skipped some of the fillers, but seeing Kurama go is kind of sad. And they definitely did a really good job with their back story, or flashback showing all the years with Naruto. Because he's literally been in there since he's been a baby. So seeing their friendship grow and everything was kind of crazy. But Kurama also did say that you're not superhuman anymore. So
You're gonna die.
don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. You can't do the same shit that you could do before.
What is Naruto? Stupid.
Yeah. Well, we did get confirmation too over the last episode that Sasuke's Rinnegan is gone too.
Because for whatever fucking reason, Boruto stabbed it out.
Yep. with
Boruto's a bitch.
There's a big hole there with how Boruto. Yes, he was possessed by he was using his karma. Okatsuki possessed, however you pronounce it. Okatsuki? Is that what it is?
Otsutsuki.
Whatever, same thing. Whatever. I get he was possessed, but he wasn't using his karma or any ninjutsu. He wasn't using any chakra at all when he went at Sasuke, and Sasuke wasn't able to detect that. And the reason he wasn't using it is because he didn't want to wake up Boruto.
I can explain this with a meme I saw the other day. It was Team 7, right? So, Team 7 in Naruto. Naruto, 50%. Sasuke, 49%. Sakura, 1%. This is their power levels. And then it goes to Team 7 in Boruto. Naruto, 0.5%. Sasuke, 0.5%. Sakura, 99%. I think that's the core of what this show is doing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they've done all the older guys dirty. I actually saw some dude animated his own, like, how the episode should have gone type thing. Like, I watched this guy because I follow, like, a few pages, and he animated how that fight with, when Sasuke got his eye stabbed out. And it was just like when they fought the Otsutsuki.
Itachi.
No, when he fought the Otsutsuki, and he was, like, all chained up in the air, and then he just used his Rinnegan and switched places with him. So as soon as he gets his eye stabbed out, he just switches places with Boruto and then just throws his ass across the area. Like,
I would think the way it should go is Boruto stabs him in the eye, and then he turns into a bunch of, like, snakes, and then turns around and Sasuke's sitting on a throne like Itachi, just looking
or
at
crows.
him. He was in his genjutsu the whole time.
Yeah. Or he's in crows. He's got the crows, just like Itachi.
Yeah. Well, Sasuke's has always been snakes.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Orochimaru was snakes. I don't.
Yeah, and Sasuke is
The
snakes
only-
too.
The only
Someone
other
is a
reason that
snake.
I'm half tempted to catch up on Boruto is there a clone of Jiraiya that is Otatsuki?
Yeah.
not
He's not an
Otsutsuki. He was
but
made by
he
one
is a
of
clone of Jiraiya.
the organization that was reviving one of the Otsutsuki.
Okay.
He was made by
I'll
one of the
say-
doctors, and he used
for
Jiraiya's.
Is he anything
What?
like Jiraiya?
No, not personality-wise,
Okay,
no.
Well, I mean, he
The
sort
farthest
of.
I got in the manga was when Sasuke got sealed away. How far ahead of that are we in the show?
When he got sealed away.
No, Naruto got sealed.
Oh, we're not too far. I mean, I think it's like half a dozen episodes, maybe a little.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that. Yeah, I want to say like a half a dozen episodes because we had talked about that a few weeks ago.
So that was only like 45 chapters, Kirky. You could catch up to that in no time.
But no, I mean, I don't. The way that they draw everything out though with fillers and stuff, I expect it to be another 50 episodes before we see Naruto on his way out. Because they haven't even teased what's happening with Boruto and that whole fight. So, I don't know.
Obviously, Kawaki's going to survive, right?
Well, yeah, that's the fight.
But
Well, Kawaki
if-
did survive,
when-
yeah.
If when Naruto dies, he doesn't take out every bad guy in the entire world in the process, I'm not for it.
Well, he doesn't have that crazy chakra like he used to.
Doesn't matter. It's fucking Naruto, dude.
You can't
He's a Hokage.
you can't make giant Rasengans or anything anymore.
Doesn't matter. He's still the best shinobi in the village. In the entire world.
Because of his chakra.
No, because he's that fucking talented. His chakra elevated him, but you take that away, he's still at the top.
Yeah, but he can't do 90% of half the fucking moves he used to. I mean, he can, but not nearly on the level that he used to. I mean, he's got... I mean, as far as taijutsu is concerned, he's great with taijutsu. So that has nothing to do with chakra, But as far as like he's not going to be able to make the shadow clones the way he used to. He's not going to be able to use Rasengan the way he used to. I mean, those are his pinnacle moves right there.
Do you really think that after everything Naruto's been to, his entire story, he's not smart enough, doesn't have the experience to adjust?
No. He was literally... All right, let's take Superman, right? We're going to take Superman, and we're going to take away Superman's powers. Can Superman adjust?
Well, that's different because Superman loses all of his powers. Naruto didn't.
I mean, the implication...
His powers just got nerfed
just
a little bit.
Significantly. Like,
a lot of
totally.
it.
Like,
it was like 80% of his power.
if not more. We don't really know. We have nothing to base this off of because he was born with Kurama. Like, at no point have we ever seen...
Yeah, it's not like there was like a prior moment to like a newer moment. It was just... I mean, like, he can still use Sage Mode, and he can still do Taijutsu. But, I mean, as far as, like, the extreme ways he used his moves, he's never going to be able to do that again. I mean, on the level that he used to. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
and there's also got to be an out.
Talented enough.
I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. He doesn't have the firepower he used to.
Way. He can get beat by Sakura, and that's enough said.
I don't know. They also had to make an out.
You're really trying hard this episode, aren't you?
To piss you off? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they use this as like an out because it's an excuse for when he actually dies.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually have a way to kill him off in the show now without Kurama.
Well, at least they gave an excuse for Naruto. What the fuck are they doing with Sasuke?
Sasuke, I don't think is going to die. Sasuke, I think, is just going to be...
I know. I'm just saying they nerfed the shit out of Sasuke with no explanations or anything.
That's true.
I don't know. There's still got to be something that happens between Boruto and Kawaki, though, that, you know, sets the tone for the big fight at the end. There's going to be a time skip.
Kawaki killing Boruto. I think Boruto's a bitch.
There's going to be a time skip at some point, like they did with Shippuden.
Doesn't Sasuke still have his other eye, though?
He still has his Sharingan.
His Mangekyo. Yeah. And he could just, get Sarada to kill Boruto, and then take Sarada's eyes.
Yep. Or at least one of them. You can leave her with one.
Yeah. All he needs is one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Isn't his Sharingan more powerful than his Rinnegan, though?
No. I think he can use his Sharingan more freely.
Yeah.
I think the excuse they gave in the show, it wasn't in the manga, was his Rinnegan took up too much chakra, so he had to wait like 3 days before he could use chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I don't know, this was like 100 episodes ago.
I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised if he got somebody else's eye.
So, I mean, that's his story arc guy.
Yeah. I mean, who else is left other than...
Goes to Danzo's grave and just has his pick of the litter.
Yeah. True. Well, I mean, I guess we'll wait to see. I mean, I'm going to keep updated with it, so...
Here's my hot take, though. Doesn't Boruto have an eye from one of the Otsutsuki?
Yeah. Well,
doesn't he have...
It's part of his karma.
Doesn't he have Hinata's eye?
One of them.
Byakugan?
One of them, but that's not from Hinata. It's from the Otsutsuki.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Otsutsuki are born with it.
Yeah, and the Byakugan is from them. And
yeah,
somehow
it's from them, but then
right?
it goes down towards yeah.
I remember that from
I
the
don't
movie.
know enough about the eye.
But I mean,
Boruto.
Both Kawaki and Boruto are at 80% of. They're both 80% Otsutsuki at this point.
Like being possessed by an Otsutsuki, or they're becoming an Otsutsuki?
Becoming an Otsutsuki. Well, Boruto's being possessed, but Kawaki is 80% at this point, part Otsutsuki. Because they were going to use... Because they were talking about in the most recent episode about him still being the fruit's not going to be as big if they feed him to the Ten Tails, but it's still going to possess a fruit if they feed Kawaki to the Ten Tails, because
is the Ten Tails back?
It's been back. That's what this whole thing's been about. They've had Ishiki had the Ten Tails the whole time, and that he was just waiting on Kawaki to kind of be revived, and then, the whole thing. But there was one of the other Ototsukis, the one that possessed it, was it Momoshiki? Or not Momoshiki. Yeah. That possesses Boruto.
Yeah, Momoshiki.
He was saying when in this the 2 episodes ago, that he was just going to use Kawaki and feed him to the Ten Tails because he's 80% revived. Or 80% Otsutsuki. He'll still get a fruit from the tree. It just won't be as big as if he was 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how the next few episodes play out, and let's see if they keep it up or whether they kind of die off into a filler again. We'll find out. So I kind of saved this until after the news because there's been a bunch of shows that came out. We'll tackle what have we been watching, our queue lately. I know a bunch of shows come out. I've watched a bunch of shows. I got a decent list going at this point. A few newer shows that came out with the fall season. So, Kirk, do you want to list off a few shows you've been keeping up with, new shows?
Yeah, I can do that.
Whatever, maybe. Because I know a few of them we've all watched.
Yeah. As I open up an app to read off what I've been looking at. So Banished from the Heroes Party is one that we didn't really talk a whole lot about. That one's been pretty good. They have 2 episodes out so far. And then another one...
I watched the first, yeah.
Another one that surprised me, and I definitely will continue watching it, and I've seen the first 2 episodes so far, is Irina, the Vampire Cosmonaut.
Okay, so I had that on my list, and I've been waiting to watch it.
So you kind of know what it's about. But
I read...
So it's for those of you that don't know, it's basically... vampires are treated like slaves, kind of like less than people type of stuff. And it kind of takes place in like Soviet Russia, kind of, something like that. And then basically,
if it's Cosmonaut, it is.
Cosmonaut? What? Yeah.
Is that what the title is? Yeah, that's what they call astronauts in
Russia.
Oh, okay,
Soviet
perfect.
or
I didn't know that. And so it's like a space race to get people into space, but they want to use like test subjects and stuff first. And so, lo and behold, surprise, surprise, they're trying to send a vampire into space first because, they value vampires less than they do human life. I'm not going to spoil any more for you because I'd highly encourage you to watch it.
Which is kind of a weird take.
Are the vampires immortal?
Very not immortal. It's funny, they kind of play off that trope. They go like, oh yeah, because all the humans believe like the typical stereotypes about vampires, but like the researchers and people at like the Soviet labs are like, nah, none of that's true. And then the vampire, like when you get introduced to her, she's like, yeah, nah, that's all bullshit.
Yeah, that's a different take. I mean, that's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's on my list, and I've been meaning to watch it. I started like 8 different shows, and that's like the one of the 2 or 3 that I haven't started
I thought
yet.
it was really good. I'd highly encourage people to watch it.
Okay. Anything else? What else you got going? I know you started Tacked Op Destiny.
Tacked Op was good.
As well.
Episodes 1 and 2 so far. Second episode was a little exposition-y. For me, I was a little upset with it. It makes sense because now we know where Tact and Cassette and the sister come from. We know why it happened, why Cassette is referred to as, I can't think of her name. We're always going to forget this chick's name, but we forget, we learn why she calls her sister, because it is actually her sister.
Yeah.
We don't...
And then they took in Tact, because they were all friends back when Tact's dad dies.
Yep.
But I didn't expect the backstory episode to come this early.
I didn't either. It was a little soon for me.
And I didn't expect a full episode.
Agreed.
But,
I guess...
I'm not... I can see why they also made a different... So, I know we had talked about this on the side, but we had talked about how the studios changed for episode 2.
Yep, yeah.
And we were all curious on why they were changing studios after such a great first episode. But seeing how low-key and like more grounded in backstory and not action-driven this last episode was, I can kind of see where they were taking a turn and putting it into a different studio's hands. I think it's going to come back in the next episode.
I think this show is going to intentionally... I think their intention is not for it to be an action show, and it's kind of supposed to be somewhere in between... Not... I guess drama and action. I don't want to call it slice of life. It's not slice of life, but it... I guess, you know what? I take that back. In a way, it is a slice of life anime because it's kind of life without music. So it's kind of...
Yeah, and it shows, like, Tak's, like, grievances and, like, how he felt about playing music for so long. And, like, the way he... Like, when he lost his dad and everything else.
Well, now we kind of know that he's pretty distraught about Cassette being gone, too.
Yeah, in a way. And I think part of this whole music push on his end is sort of maybe trying to bring Cassette's memories back.
I don't think so. I think her memories are gone. I think actual Cassette's dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of get some of those feels, too. I mean, because if you look back at the first episode, he's playing outside. He's playing the song that they played in the second episode when they played together. That they played together in the garage. That she had talked about 3 acts.
Yeah.
That's the song he was playing in the first episode when he was playing outside when that whole attack happened.
And she does all this talk about, that's as much as I can remember and this and that. They play hard into memory. So maybe they'll try to restore her memories. Maybe they'll be able to bring them back.
Or maybe he'll just accept that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely, after the second episode, you can kind of see like a love angle going into it too. I mean, because he started to look at her a little differently once because the way he blushed and like acted after like she made some comments and they played together in the garage alone and everything else. I mean, plus I feel like every anime has to have its own. They all put in their little.
I guess it could go that direction.
I don't know. But I mean, I'm interested.
I think it'd be much more interesting if he did have a thing for her, but we find out that there's no coming back for her.
Yeah.
Which might be
like there's no like way.
So that was the last episode is a flashback episode. Based on the first episode, I would say that he kind of realizes she's not coming back because you don't see that connection, that love connection at all in the first episode.
Yeah, he calls her useless 30 times.
Yeah. Useless music card.
But it may be because
he's angry that she's not Cassette.
She's gone.
Everybody, he still has to refer to her as Cassette.
Because he had such a connection with her in the first place. And now that's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's a lot of psychological angles we can look at this too.
But it gets you thinking.
Which are going to be interesting as they play out. Yeah, for sure. I mean, as they play out over the next few weeks, I mean, I'm assuming it's probably going to be a 12-episoder. 12, 13 episode, and then we'll call it a season.
Yep. Yeah,
but
12, 13.
I mean, I'm definitely liking it so far. Has anybody watched Platinum End?
Not yet.
Kirk?
Yeah, I watched the first episode. It was okay. I thought
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
I thought the end of it was a little weird. You got the mech guy...
Yeah, the guy in the big... Well, not big, but he was just kind of in like a... He gave me Zero vibes from G.I. Joe.
I thought you were going to say Zero from Borderlands. Either way, same difference.
Yeah, well, I mean, same thing. I mean, it's pretty much... He has an outfit like that, the mask and everything else. I don't know. I feel like they blew off all their stops and all their stuff right in the first episode, and I'm just like, what else is there to watch now? Not even that. I don't know. I'm very skeptical I think I had a little bit higher hopes for this show than they're giving me right now. But I mean, we'll wait to see how it plays out.
It doesn't have psychological thriller vibes. It doesn't have big action vibes.
It doesn't make me like think or like really, and it doesn't even give me like the action feels. Yeah. It's kind of like very subpar action-y.
Well, because the action is kind of, I mean, the action isn't going to be very fantasy, right? So like his way of killing people is essentially hypnotizing them or giving them a heart attack with the red and white arrows. So it's kind of like, it's not like there's explosions and swords and magic. It's just, okay, they're dead.
Yeah.
Oh, they died in a car accident. It's kind of.
I mean,
but you know what? Here's the issue though, is that they don't do it tactfully either. For instance, Death Note was also the same way in that there's not a lot of like action per se, but what happens is that they make it tactful by making you think and having this whole psychological breakdown to the way that he kills people and his reasons for it and everything. Yeah. Whereas this is...
I mean, I guess we'll see in the next, probably either next episode or the episode after that, we'll see how it's handled when he comes in contact with another angel. Because, I mean, right now it's just like him dealing with his own mental state and everybody he's been dealing with, like his aunt and uncle and the death of his family and everything else. So, I mean, we'll see how like an action scene's actually handled once he comes in contact with another angel in a fight.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the flying sequences and like all that was pretty good, but I don't know what they're going to do as far as the fights are concerned. Because there hasn't been any like outright fights. Like even the last scene, it's just.
But then they teased. Don't forget, they teased the Zero-looking guy afterwards. Was that just the guy cosplaying and looking weird, or is there additional abilities that we don't know about yet? So at least it has.
Well, I mean, yeah, the guy in the car didn't even know that there was a white arrow.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy that he killed was another one of the angels living it up with these two chicks, and as soon as this guy broke into his car and shot him with a white arrow, he's like, wait, a white arrow's a thing? Like, how'd you get that? Like, I don't know. So, but even that wasn't really an action scene. That was just one guy who got absolutely murked in his car. Yeah. So, as far as like a full-blown action episode or scene is concerned, I guess we'll wait to see how that's played out. But
yep.
Next on the list, though, World's Finest Assassin gets reincarnated into another world as an aristocrat.
Jakey, take it away, bud.
Well, I was very excited for this show because I like the concept. When I watched the trailer for the first time, I thought this could be a great show, but the animation looks iffy.
That's how I felt before.
I'm pretty sure the second episode came out today.
Yeah, it came out right before we started recording.
Yeah.
Because I just got the update.
But the first episode gave me a lot of hope for the show. The way they handled the plot with his backstory and kind of tying it into where he's at in the new world. And the animation was great. I thought it was a very good first episode to make me really interested in the show.
Yeah, I thought the action wasn't going to be nearly as like detailed as it was. But I felt like it was, because I thought it was going to be magic circles and crazy weird like stuff that just didn't give any like crazy or well animated fights. But I feel like they handled it very well. You don't like it, Kirk? You're not a fan?
I thought it was a terrible first episode. I thought the only scene
really
that was entertaining and good was the scene.
Was the first one?
Was the scene where towards the end?
No.
Where he's with the apprentice and he's basically explaining like, oh hey, by the way, like I'm gonna kill you, and she's like, what? Excuse me?
Oh yeah.
And so
where he takes her
gun, and then he gives her back the gun, and then she goes to shoot him. Well, fakingly, I doubt she would have actually pulled the trigger. And then he goes, all right, pull the trigger. And then she goes, and she looks, and there's no bullets in her gun because he took all the bullets out. And it was just like this back and forth of like, hey, this is what you're doing wrong as an assassin. And I thought that was really good, and I thought that they did that scene extremely well. And then aside from that, it was just subpar anime.
I went into it with a lower expectation, I guess you could say, because I mean it's the same studio and producers who made Redo Healer.
Redo of a healer.
And yeah. We're not going to dive into that, but anybody who knows what we're talking about knows what we're talking about.
You know.
Yeah. Don't look it up.
It's on. You can find it on, I think, Funimation, maybe.
High Dive. No, not on
it
Funimation.
got taken off all
because
of that.
it's
High Dive is the only one that's on.
Basically, just it's
And it's
remember those
very,
adult animated films I was
edited.
talking about earlier, folks. Well, yeah, this one is it's on the line.
Nah, it's not
No,
even
it's
on the
not.
line.
It's straight up X-rated. But anyways,
But yeah, no. So I mean, I didn't really necessarily hold it to a higher standard, and especially from the trailer. Like I said, I didn't. It was a pleasant surprise. It's going to be an easy watch. I'm going to keep up with it. I'm not going to. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to sit here and have an intellectual, deep dive conversation like I could with Tacked Up Destiny with you, like we have been. But I feel like it's going to be one of those shows that I can watch. I'll watch the whole 12 episodes and get my opinion at the end. But it's going to be an easy watch. I don't have to think too deeply into it, so I guess we'll wait to
I
see.
think it's going to be a great show as far as not every show needs to be super intellectual.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Or the best show ever. I think it'll be a really good show for what it is.
Yes.
I can agree to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to put it on the same level as, like, In Another World with my smartphone or something. Like, it's just going to be another...
I think it'll be better than that.
I think it could be. I very well think it could be. I just think it's going to fit that mindless, like, I'm going to watch this isekai trope type of show. I don't think it's going to entertain me immensely. I don't think it's going to be very thought-provoking. I think it's going to be very predictable, very like, oh, look at this, that's what happened, cool.
Based off of what I've seen so far, I'm hoping it's going to be more like, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? I'm hoping that's the quality that this show is going to have.
Yeah, I can feel
I
that.
can see it.
I mean, that kind of fell off in the long run, too, but...
They picked it up towards the last
Yeah,
season,
but
though.
that first season was
The
great.
last season wasn't bad.
Yeah, but the middle and the movie
I
were...
didn't
the
finish
movie
the
was
last
terrible.
Sucked. It was awful. Oh my gosh.
There was a movie. Was that Sword Oratoria?
Yeah,
Sword
don't.
Art Show, yeah.
It's not even worth watching.
Don't bother.
We watched that. Me and you went to
Yeah,
watch that,
we
didn't we,
went to the
Kirk?
theater to see it, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, was that a mistake?
It was just not. I mean,
I
even like,
regretted it
dude,
thoroughly.
even movies happen to have a decent end boss fight, like animated
This didn't
boss
even
fight
have
at the
that.
end. No. But, anyways, next, I don't know if either of you have watched it. I kind of just came across it. Was Build Divide 00000.
Knockoff Yu-Gi-Oh?
I was just gonna say
It's
that
just
shit.
worse Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, I don't think it's terrible.
There's no Joey Wheeler.
It's
Come on, Yugs. I want my Joey Wheeler.
I don't think it's terrible, but it's definitely not like there's been a few card fight shows. I mean, there is a show called Card Fight. But there's been a few shows that have kind of tried to follow up the Yu-Gi-Oh legacy, I guess you could say.
The only shows that
I think this one so far that is done a little bit better than others, animation and explanation-wise. I don't know. It's another show that I'm not going to get huge high hopes for. It's okay.
the only
But,
Is it like Digimon to Pokemon?
yes,
yes.
absolutely. However, the only thing that I think that I can think of being, I guess, comparable to Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not necessarily cards, but it's comparable to Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'd say on par with Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like the first season of like Beyblade. Like OG
Yeah.
Beyblade was pretty good. I never watched any like the Metal Fusion or any of that stuff, but that's because why would I? Bit old for that now.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to dive too deep into that because it's kind of... But next on the list that I have is Sakugan. I know you've watched this, Kirky.
I did.
The father-daughter.
With the robots and the beastie things, and
So my only I have two grievances with this show, actually. I love the
father-daughter trope
relationship that they have. I think they play off of that very, very well. And they do have their dark moments that kind of get thrown in there at the end.
Like, I didn't think it was going to be dark or sad or really anything, like, crazy. And then just that... I'm not going to say anything, but that scene happened. Jake, you got to watch it.
I'm not big into, like...
It's not really mech.
It's not even mech. It's not mech. It's... So, let me put it this way. If I'm going to compare it to anything, and I think that I don't hold it as high of regards right now... is because I feel like it's a tier 2 Made in the Abyss.
Yeah.
And it follows the same trope. It follows the same... it's dungeons... Or, well, not dungeons. It's a whole... It's like all these different... It's discovering this... they're living underground and they're discovering this.
It's knockoff Made in Abyss, but I think...
It's not terrible.
I mean,
it's
we
not
only have
bad.
one episode so far. I think it could be potentially better than Made in Abyss.
I'm gonna screenshot and record that real quick because
I think it has the
man, I hold Made in the Abyss on such a high standard.
Let them have it, John.
That is one of my shows, dude. I love that show, and I think that show is so well done.
The character.
I think they should have made some of the movies into another season. I don't think they should have made 4 movies after instead of making another season, but I do think that show is so good. And I mean, I'm going to keep up with it. I'm not going to say I'm not going to watch it because I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I don't
like I said, I
necessarily know if I'm going to hold it to the same regards.
Good or better than Made in Abyss. Doesn't mean it will be. I'm basing this off of the first episode we watched, and I feel you. I love the characters right off the bat, even though, don't get attached to any character, apparently.
Well, except for the 2.
Well, we don't... I mean,
but,
in the future, too. I mean, now we only have 2 characters to really be attached to. But it's kind of...
I mean, 12 episodes in, I'll reconvene with you and see what we think.
I'll give it a watch, not having seen Made in Abyss.
First of all, watch... true. Okay. I'll give you that.
I've been wanting to watch Made in Abyss, but I've heard through the grapevine, which that being Twitter and every website I've ever seen about it, that it's a super depressing show, and you have to be in the right mindset to watch.
You want something depressing?
It is.
Watch Grave of the Fireflies. It's a Studio Ghibli movie, and it's just a sad. Like, you think things are gonna get better, right? They build it up every little 15 minutes. You're like, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's gonna get better, and then it just gets worse. And then the ending, it's just you're sitting there at the ending like, damn, I'm sad. Like, movies don't make me sad, and that made me sad.
Yeah, just wait until Made in the... Dude, I'm not even going to say anything, because Made in the Abyss movies really just hit me on another level.
Saw them all.
But...
I'm telling you,
yeah, no,
Grave of the Fireflies by Studio Ghibli, it's a heavy one.
Alright, well, we're definitely going to keep up with that one, because I'm definitely going to probably have an argument with you by the time 12 is up. But I'm gonna be on me and you are gonna go at it like me and Jakey did. You and Jakey did it.
Me and Jake don't go at it. Me and Jake agree on everything.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the little 20 seconds there where John got heated.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you don't see it too often from me, but that's a show I will back.
If only you could defend One Piece like that,
bro. Don't even get me going right now. I love One Piece, but I'm never gonna hold it to I'm never gonna be on your level. Some people you just can't get to that level, Jake, and you're just one of those people who's at that level, and I'm not. I'm never gonna be at that level. I enjoy and watch it, but I'm never gonna be on the top tier.
I'll get you there.
Top tier that you are. Another quick one. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Is the Faraway Paladin?
Oh yeah, I saw it.
No.
I think it was a good setup.
I think it's. I mean, so I just finished watching. What's it called? Zero's Eden, I think it is.
Yep.
Eden Zero.
Eden Zero.
Backwards. You know. That's a Netflix anime. It's basically fairy tale, but at the same time, this Faraway Paladin, episode 1 was literally episode 1 of Eden Zero, like piece for piece. Like if go and watch the first episode of Eden Zero now that I've said that, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like he wasn't kidding.
I'm gonna put it this way. I mean, after watching that first episode, nothing stuck with me.
Me either.
Like, if I had to give you a detailed description of that whole episode, I couldn't. Because nothing really, like, stuck in my head the way some of the other shows have. Like, memory-wise.
Yeah.
It was solid. It was a show that I'm probably going to
what?
watch. Because I kind of like that.
That first episode,
the way
I
they
think I think it's their exposition episode. Like, we kind of have a general idea.
Yeah.
They put a little bit of mystery
of
about
the
the
world.
characters. We know about the world.
Yeah, the world building and everything else.
And
we'll see. I mean,
they laid the groundwork. It wasn't a very, it wasn't like a very, watch me type of episode, but it was which I think the first episode should be. I think like your third or fourth episode should be the exposition-y, weird flashback episode.
Everybody throws it in somewhere. It's just a matter of when and how they go about it.
And this might just be my preference, right? Like, I think if you're going to try to get people to watch the show, you should have a first episode that goes, oh wow, I want to watch this.
Yeah, you need to kind of rope people into
Like
that.
Tacked Up Destiny.
Yeah.
They saved their exposition for episode
which I'm still going to
2.
watch Tacked Up Destiny because now I'm attached to it because it's still great. And then, so, I mean, for this one, it's just... It was a very bland, vanilla episode of, oh, hey, look, I was raised by these people. They're very powerful. That's why I'm going to be powerful in the future. This is what the world's like. There's these gods. These are the most powerful entities around. Here's this, here's that. There's no... What bothered me is that episode 1, despite being an exposition episode, did not set up the plot for anything. We know the name of the show is Faraway Paladin, that the kid's going to go and become a paladin. But, I mean, that's not really a plot, right? That's just what he's going to do. We don't know who the big bad is. We don't know who he's going to go to defeat. Like, is he going to come back to kill his family because they're all undead? Like, we're going to find out, I guess.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be one of those shows I watch. I don't know if I'm going to think too deeply onto it later on. I don't know. It's definitely going to be something to watch out for.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it on the top tier stuff to watch right now.
Definitely not.
There's definitely some shows that I hold that higher standard. But if you have the time to watch it, watch it. I mean, one of those things. There's 2 shows I have. What's up, Jakey?
I was going to say, because you were comparing this show to Eden Zero. Speaking of that, I forgot to say this during Platinum End. Have you guys seen Future Diary, Mirai Nikki?
No.
Pieces.
Yeah?
Pieces.
Okay, well then you probably won't know the answer, but when I read the synopsis, it seems almost identical, to Future Diary for Platinum End. And I was going to ask if it was like a very similar show.
Yeah, I haven't seen Future Diaries like through and through, so I couldn't give you a legitimate response. But Platinum M's are alright. Like I said, there's other shows I'm going to hold to a higher level than that.
The only other show,
there's
the
2
only other show that I want to mention is The Fruit of Evolution.
Okay, yeah, I had that on the list. Like I said, I haven't watched that yet either.
That one's pretty good.
It's one of those cues.
It's I'd put it on par with average vanilla isekai power. Look at me, I'm born into another world, super powerful. Look at me go. It's a little different because it's awkward.
It didn't look like it took it too seriously.
No, they don't.
From what I saw, it's not like very like dark or serious.
It's very easily watchable and mindless, and that's all it's meant to be.
Sometimes you just need those shows. So there's nothing wrong with it.
You know what? I would put it on the same level as Overlord.
Okay. Without like the action-y stuff? Does it have that type of...
Yeah, it has I think it's going to have more action. It's been a little bit exposition-y, not like overdone like Overlord, but like obviously the first 2 episodes, they kind of blend their exposition into it a little bit, explaining stuff, but yeah. They're quick about it.
Okay.
It's not awful.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay. That's on the list. I'll have to pick that up this weekend. I will put... So, these are like my from right field that I didn't think too much of that surprised the hell out of me. I'm not even going to lie. The first one that I had on the list was the Heike story. It's on Funimation. I don't know if either of you have watched it.
Is that the one that has like a picture of
No.
like... Oh, hold on, let me pull it up.
It's the little girl.
What's the name of it? The Heike story?
The Heike story.
Okay.
It's on
it's like red
Funimation.
and white, right? The picture for it.
Yes.
A psychic orphan is taken to the powerful Tyra clan. Unfortunately, she predicts is a future filled with
Their
violence and
downfall.
civil war. Okay.
So, I mean, dude, like I said, I didn't expect too much from it. And it's very... So it's not like... The action's not crazily well done. And the art style is, like, completely from right field. It's a completely different, like...
Like on the level of Tower
Let me
of
put it
God,
this-
or...
No. So it's... No. So it's more... It seems like more of a painted field to me. Like, it's heavy outlines with, like, more of, like, a subtle, like, fill-in. And it's, like, very old. So, if you, like, if you think of, like, old Japanese, like, samurai paintings type thing.
Okay. Yep.
So, like, very, like, heavy on the detailed outlines, but, like, more of, like, a painted-in type, like, detail on the end. Like, it's a different feel. But it also doesn't do, like, crazy action. There's blood, there's some violence, there's some, like, whatever. But it's not, like, crazy animated violence like you see in all these other shows. And it just follows this orphan girl. And, like, the beginning of the episode, she's walking around with her dad, and it shows the death of her dad. But she has, like, one eye that's... She can see the future. But her dad always told her not to look into the future because it's just going to mess her up. But then she, like, runs into this clan because the clan's who killed her dad. And she just shows up just to tell them that their clan's going to be annihilated because she saw it in the future.
Okay.
She just wanted to rub it in their faces that their clan's going to have a downfall.
Yeah.
But then ends up becoming part of the clan and, like, you know, getting a relationship with the clan and this and that and this huge thing. So, but it definitely hit me in, like, a feels. It's definitely like a slice of life-esque type thing, more drama. I like it. It's got its comedic aspects to it, but it's definitely a lot different than all the shows we've kind of listed so far as like big name shows and animation's concerned.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like it could be up your alley, Jake, if you like. It's one of those shows you got to kind of sit down and watch, though.
It looked interesting when I looked into it the other day.
It's definitely something. So there's a few different types of eyes, actually. So she's, like, clairvoyant. She can see into the future, like, ways down into the future, not, like, 2 seconds ahead. And then one of the people in the clan, like, the head of the clan, he can see spirits, like dead people. And I feel like they're going to incorporate a few different types of eyes, like, later on. But it's only one eye, so, like, you can't see anything unless you only close one eye, which is kind of weird. But, no, it's definitely good. I'm going to keep up with it. I'm going to watch it. I'll give my opinions once I see towards the end. But the second one on the list that kind of really surprised me, because I'm into some of the horror, like, creepy stuff, is Miruku-chan.
Is that a Juni Ito show?
Hold on, let me look.
Juni Ito is like the big.
I think so,
person,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Junji Ito.
Junji Ito.
Yeah. But like I said, that's not a crazy action type either. It's literally this chick who can see dead people and ghosts and all these things, but they're creepily, like very creepily, like handled. And
is that the one where she like tries to ignore him?
yeah. So she like she keeps a straight face and acts like she doesn't see him the whole time. And she like runs into like a few of them throughout the episode and just they keep asking because they think that she can see him and she can. And they ask, "Can you see me?" But they're so creepy. And like one of them's like in her covers, like she's trying to sleep and she like feels something under her covers and lifts up the covers and like the neck's turned and like looking at her. Like you get like all these horror vibes to it. It's super creepy, but I kind of like it. It's like, it's different. I'm interested to see like where they take it because she's like very lighthearted and she's got like a lighthearted friend and everything else and tries to act like she doesn't, every encounter she goes into, she just like plays it off like she can't see him. Like, oh, I should respond to this text, or oh, maybe I'm just overtired, or like whatever. Like, oh, I gotta brush my teeth, or I got something in my eyes, like whatever. But it's cool. It's definitely different. It's one of those shows, like I said, it's not like a crazy action type show. So
yeah.
Anything
I'll make a prediction about it.
Oh yeah.
Her friend's gonna die, and that's what's she's gonna have to deal with her dead friend
being there.
Yeah.
That's kind of it's dark. They definitely could take it that turn. So
yeah, that's what I would do.
Episode 2 just dropped right before we recorded too, so I might have to give that a watch.
Yeah.
Is there anything I missed? I know we covered a bunch. Jake, you watch anything new?
I mean, I've been watching Gintama.
Again?
But, yeah, dude. I watched the first, 20 episodes a long time ago and then stopped, and so I'm restarting it. And, it's a great show. I'm not, into the, actual plot yet, but it's funny.
Yeah. It definitely takes a right turn, too. Like, the beginning is so much differently structured than, what it takes in a few seasons in.
Yeah, I'm still in the, episodic, comedy.
Yeah, and it gets so much more serious later on.
Yeah.
But I guess the last one that I'll throw out there that I know we've kind of watched was Mushoku Tensei.
All right. Don't spoil episode 2.
Okay, I just watched episode 2, but I'm not going to spoil it. First episode, I would think. Did we cover that last week?
No.
No?
I mean, we did, but...
Well.
Yeah, well, we're recording, so...
audio was corrupt.
Yeah, I know.
John is corrupt.
Well, it happens. That's why I'm drinking alcohol. I am corrupt.
You guys should have heard it. If only his file didn't get corrupt. Old boy was slurring the outro last week.
We'll see. I'm not at the outro yet. I got plenty of drink left to go, so I think I'm about to pour myself up.
Start chugging, guy.
Well, say less. I'm gonna. Maybe I'll have to switch it up. Go get a vodka Red Bull going. So how do we feel about the first episode then? Because I won't dive into the second episode just not to spoil it for you.
Good start. Looking forward to the rest of it. Mushoku Tensei for me is a little bit more than a brainless watch, but it's not much more than that. I like it. I think it's good. I'm interested to see where it goes. It's not very predictable, I will say that. It definitely makes you wonder.
I think Mushoku Tensei is the opposite of a brainless, that style of isekai. I think it surpassed that in the first season, and now it's I don't know. We the first episode we got a whole bunch of new
characters, threads
that we can follow.
Yeah.
There's still that overarching. We got to get back home, but with this, what was the Demon Empress?
Yeah, giving him an eye, one of the eyes.
Yeah.
So he's clairvoyant.
I wouldn't mind being able to see if he's got observation hockey now.
Yeah, he can just see a few seconds into the future.
Yeah. Reijerd needs to grow his hair back.
Yep.
I know you were saying last week, Kirky, you really liked Bald
Yeah,
Richard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's definitely giving us some. It's bringing some old characters back and giving us some areas to go to. So I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's quickly dive right into we're coming into our time here, but we'll cover our main topic here real quick. We're kind of making it a new main topic. I'm going to get a nice board behind me going in future episodes, keep track of it all. Mm-hmm. But we're starting a new topic that we look to continue weeks to come. Give us a little bit more structure from week to week. That being said, we're calling this new segment Top Tier or Steer Clear, where every week we bring a new show to the table, typically a show that has come to its conclusion. So we're trying not to really cover any currently running shows or not quite at their conclusion yet. With the one show each week, we will be given an individual score between 1 and 10, rated in 3 categories, and then averaged out for our final score from each of us. You can put decimals in there if you want to, based on how good we think the show is as a whole. 10.
How many decimal places are we going?
Well, 1 through 10.
How many decimal places?
Well, yeah, no, like 1 through 10. So, like 9.3, 9.7.
I'm saying,
as many as you want, Jake.
Like 9.37687.
No. The 10th decimal place. To the 10th place. So if you want to give it like a 9.6.
More onto that. Oh, the 10ths.
The 10th.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on, man. You're the one in college here.
Tenths. There's an S at the end of that, guy.
I put a TH at the end. 10th.
There's an S after the TH.
Whatever. I didn't go to college.
I've been to college enough for the both of them.
So 10 being the top tier anime that we think is an absolute watch, or 1 being the steer clear anime that don't bother wasting your time with. We're going to have our own reasons behind our rating, and we'll dive into that a little bit more in our thoughts. We're going to do this week to week, so I'm going to post up a page right on our Facebook, and like I said, I'm going to get a nice whiteboard behind me with pictures and everything, because I'm a picture learner. So this way we can update it every single week. This week we're going to cover a show called Deadman Wonderland. I know it's come up a few times. It's one of my favorite shows. This show was a 12-episode season with an OVA run that aired in 2011 and came to a conclusion due to both studio issues with money and health reasons from the producer. Quick synopsis to cover that.
Health reasons with the producer being they're dead.
He's dead. Well, you know.
R.I.P.
It was health reasons when it first came out. It was health reasons, but quick synopsis covering it. Ganta is the main character. He's the sole survivor of a brutal murder of his entire class, and he's then framed and ends up falsely convicted over it. He's a middle schooler. During the massacre, the real killer embeds a red crystal in him. Ganta is sent to a privately owned prison, which is a rather different and perverted take on incarceration, entertaining the masses by performing dangerous games in exchange for privileges. Every inmate he encounters has their own goals, survival being the main one, and it is now up to him to survive this and maybe even prove his innocence. Initial thoughts? I mean, like I said,
Ganta's a bitch, but he's got his story arc reminds me a lot of, or I guess Izuku Midoriya's story arc reminds me a lot of Ganta's.
Yeah, his growth over the episodes and everything.
Yeah. I really like the show. The animation's really good, especially for 2011. Like you, John, it's one of the first anime I watched, and I love Dark.
Yeah, it's definitely dark.
Stray Kids Changbin. Check out their newest Japanese single, Scars. Carry on.
Rewatching this, it kind of gave me a different... there's a lot of things that I didn't even notice the first time. a few times I've watched it, but it's been years since I watched it up until recently. So
Yeah.
there's a few small things that I kind of noticed that were kind of cool. But we're gonna rate the show based on 3 different points, being the plot, the characters, like character development and how we feel about the characters, and the overall animation of the show.
Are we, just so we're clear, are we giving each category a number and then averaging them?
Yes.
Or are we just...
And then we'll average all 3 of our total scores together to kind of get like a group score, and then that's what's going on the board.
Bet.
All right. Kirk, I mean, do you want to start? Overall plot. What do you got as a
so
total
overall plot? I give it a 5. It's pretty average, in my mind. The whole, I guess, the whole plot of Deadman Wonderland initially for the anime, anyways, because we don't get to see all of it, because we're never going to be able to. Is he gets tossed in prison, and I take that back. 5 is too low. I'd give it a 7. It's better than average. I think that there's a lot of holes in it, and it's just kind of there's a lot left to be desired. They could do a little bit more exposition on the plot itself in terms of like guiding the story, because there's a few points where you're kind of like, what's happening? Things are kind of sped up. Like for instance. When Scar Chain forms, Scar Chain's like the group that kind of is like, all right, we're gonna break out of this place. But like the point between like fighting in the arena and Scar Chain fighting the Undertakers, for whatever reason, there's just a gap there for me. Like there's hardly any training and this and that. It goes right into it. So it progressed a little bit fast for me. I think it was an interesting and unique story for sure, though. So yeah, we're gonna stick with 7.
7. Okay. Jake?
I'm also going to give it a 7.
Jake,
Okay.
real quick, while you give your long and lengthy explanation of why your plot is a 7, I'm going to take a brief intermission. I'll allow you guys to continue. Thank you.
All right, well, let me compose myself then.
Kirk needs a potty break.
I'm going to give the plot a 7. It is above average. The reason it's not higher, I really like the plot. The reason it's not higher is because it's unfinished, obviously.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got my score from, too.
Yeah. I think, the whole Deadman Wonderland concept is ingenious.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I really like the what do they call it? The blood fighting system.
Oh, crap. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The way that they do combat, the Deadmen in the show, the way they do combat, I think is really cool. And I don't know, there's just so much that they were able to do. They put Ganta in this prison, and there's so many different avenues that they were able to take. I think that's the trademark of a really, really well thought out plot. It's I'm gonna have to read the manga because it's extremely frustrating, like ending where the show ends.
Yeah, so I hate to be that guy because like I said, I hold this show to such high regards, and this is probably my 5th or 6th time rewatching it. I give it a 6, actually, on the plot, solely based on the fact that it's not finished, and there is some parts that could be drawn out a little bit more.
You don't give it any points for potential?
I wish I could. I mean, if I was scoring this when I first watched that show, freshman year of high school, which was probably 10 years ago at this point, it'd probably be a 9.5.
Yeah.
Because I would still hold hope, I guess you could say, for future episodes. or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, you're right. I'm putting this 7 on the board. We're going to go with a flat 7 for this. Because rewatching this, like I said, there's a lot of small details that I've kind of noticed over the last, because I rewatched it all in the last few days. From the beginning all the way to the end, the deepness you feel for, like, I mean, even in the first episode when he gets convicted and he's in court, and you have all the parents in the court of the kids in class holding, like, pictures of their kids, and then you have Mimi's dad, like, just stomping him out, like we took you in as one of our own, like, the whole nine. And just, like, the character progression and everything. And I don't know why, for some reason, like I said, it's probably been like 3 or 4 years since I've watched it last, but I completely forgot about the candy system that they have, which is a huge part of it. But I completely forgot about it because I think of, like, the big scenes. I mean, whether you got the dog race, where, you know, one of the first events that he was in, the dog race.
Yeah.
Or even, like, the blood fights that they were in later on. I didn't really... Those are the things that stuck with me, but the small details, like the candies or the necklace, like the necklaces and all of that kind of, where the collars were concerned, that's kind of where it kind of caught me again. I like the flashbacks between him and Shiro.
Yeah.
See, so those are the plot points that I wish we could have dove a little deeper on, which why I didn't really can't put it much higher than where you guys are. Like, I wish I had a full episode of backstory where it was just Shiro and Ganta. Their whole relationship. Because, I mean...
It doesn't get explained.
It doesn't get explained. It shows that they were together, and we know that he was taken in by Mimi's family. But as far as everything before that, I want an explanation.
They don't...
Yeah.
I mean, they give you teasers. They give you teasers because you know he was part of the whole thing, like with Shiro and the whole scientist and all the experiments that were getting done. But you don't know, like, in depth anything that
They
happened.
don't do a very good job of, like, making it a point of Shiro getting his branch of sin either. It's just kind of like, oh, he magically just has it. Like, I understand that, like, the red crystal goes into him, like, when his classroom gets blown up and stuff.
I mean, Ganta.
What'd I say?
You said Shiro.
Ganta. Like, he gets the red crystal-y diamond-looking thing shoved in him during the classroom massacre. But, like, they don't... Like, they've never explained kind of how or why or this or that. It's just kind of like, meh. Yeah, he's got it.
The only part that I will say...
They said...
Go ahead, Jiggy.
They talked a little bit about how the wretched egg was their means of creating the Deadman.
Yeah, but what's the wretched egg?
They didn't dive...
Yeah, Redman, which we find out...
But they didn't, like, really dive too deep. Like, they talked about it being the weapon for, like, the military... Not military, but, like, the government.
Yeah.
But they didn't dive...
I'm sure your questions would have been answered in a future season.
I know.
But we don't
but
have
like,
a
even, like...
season,
like
Jake.
I mean, like Kirkland said, too.
We do have a manga, Kirk.
Is the manga
Sure.
ended? Nope.
No, that's
I'm
true.
pretty sure.
No, it didn't.
It's definitely
It's
way
farther.
ahead of the show.
It's only a season ahead.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I'm almost positive.
Because I remember I started reading it a while ago. There's quite a few volumes.
But I mean, the one thing I will say is kind of nice is the fact that his powers come with a price. It's not like It's not like they have this whole thing where he just becomes overpowered. Like, he goes for one big move and then he ends up passing out.
Well, it's,
like,
yeah.
Because
it's not like
when he's fighting
even like
Crow.
12 episodes in when you get to the end and they were fighting at the end and they just don't, like, he tries to go for a big move, he does whatever, but, like, he still gets messed up. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like there wasn't. You're right. There wasn't any training or anything that's concerned, but it shows that there wasn't any training. There shows that the only experience he got was when he half-assed or like got lucky in the blood fights.
I mean, I think there's like one episode eventually, like right before Scar Chain happens, that Crow teaches him or tries to teach him.
Like, yeah, how to manage it a little bit better. But I mean, when he like the thing is like Scar has blades, so he can hold that without losing
they can
blood.
Everybody
the thing with
else
Ganta is Ganta shoots it.
He loses his blood. He has no connection to it.
Blood every single time. So I mean, I think that's realistic. A flat 7 out of all of us, as far as plot's concerned. As far as like characters as a whole, how do we feel? Like, what do we got for a score, Kirk?
Yeah, this is where it gets really average for me. I think this is going to be the 5. I think this is going to be one of my lowest, just because I like the characters. Ganta's cool and all. He's kind of a crybaby bitch, but, you expect that. A lot of the characters are kind of crazy, and they all have their own kind of tropes and stuff to them. The reason I give it a 5, though, is that there's little to no reason that any of these characters are the way they are, and that's largely in part due to lack of exposition. Of any exposition.
Yeah, like, I feel like if you could dive into a longer season or something, you could give a little bit of backstory to at least, like, the main people that show
my
up.
Favorite? Crow. Why is Crow my favorite character? Because he gets his own OVA explaining everything as to why he ended up in prison and this and that, and you get, like, the only OVA episode for Deadman's is about Crow, and they did a good job with it, explaining who he is.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, seeing the Resistance would have been nice, like, how it formed and all the characters and everything. I feel like it wasn't too deeply.
Like, how the hell does
Ganta was the main character, and we didn't even get a huge backstory on him.
How does the hell does like a little 3rd grade girl end up in a prison monitoring fucking experimental test subjects that are being tortured to death? Like, that little 3rd grade girl has no fucking reason to be there. The Undertaker girl, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
with a giant ass fucking
with the split blade.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, even like Nagi, it would have been cool seeing like how Nagi, like the leader of the Resistance, got captured and then turned into a weapon for the Undertakers. Would have been nice to see. I mean, because like their whole mission was to get Nagi back, or they thought he was dead. Well, they knew he was captured, but they thought he was probably dead by the time they were going to get to him. But they held such high regard for Nagi, and then you just see him being tortured and then turned into a huge-ass weapon and going off on everybody. But, like, seeing how it got to that point, or seeing any sort of backstory on any of the characters. Like I said, you have a main plot characters that don't even get a backstory.
Shiro and Ganta being the big ones that, we'd love to know more about.
Yeah, they gave us teasers, which is even worse.
I think the manga
because you just see these little tiny blurbs of flashback. Jake, what'd you give?
I'm also giving it a 5. Pretty much the same reasons. If you plan on only having a 12-episode show, you structure your character arcs a certain way.
Well, I don't think they planned on it. That's why.
That's what I'm saying. Because it wasn't planned, there's not, besides Ganta, kind of not becoming a bitch anymore, as much of, there's not really any progression as far as the characters are concerned.
Yeah.
And, it just leaves more to be desired.
For sure. I mean, I'm on a 5, too. That seems like a flat score that we could all give. All for the same reasons you kind of just taken in consideration. We didn't get any too deep dives on any single character in the show that I kind of wish we could have.
Yeah.
But, like I said, maybe I'll reconvene this a little bit later. I'll read the manga, see if I have a change of heart a little bit. But I know that the manga didn't come to a conclusion completely either, so I might get farther in and just be even more pissed off that I don't get an ending.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we got the animation as a whole. Kirk?
6, slightly better than some. It's pretty vanilla. I think the fights are done really well, which is why I give it a 6. At the same time, I think a lot of the backgrounds and stuff are pretty generic and very dark. I don't think there's a lot of detail to the background. Like, the characters and the fights are great, right? What I'm referring to is, like, the background scene. So, like, for instance, if you look at any Studio Ghibli anime, it looks like a work of art, like, that they're walking on. Whereas this, everything's pretty bland. It's just, the only reason I give it a 6 is because there's very detailed fight scenes and all the abilities are very well drawn out and look cool.
Yeah, I feel you there. Jake, what do you got going here?
I'm giving it a 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the fight scenes are really well done. I think the Ghibli films animation is like that for a purpose. I think that the way the animation for the backgrounds and everything as a whole for Deadman serves its purpose in the show. It doesn't take away from the plot or what's going on. It's literally just backgrounds.
Yeah. It's a still for a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the animation's really well done. You know, it was made 10 years ago.
2011, 10 years ago, yeah.
You know, I'm not judging it based on other anime with great animation. I'm basing this 7 on other anime I've seen with horrible animation.
True.
And this is definitely not one of them.
So I put it on a 7 too, actually. And part of my whole thought process on it was, the fights were pretty cool. Fights were well done. Like you said, it was made 10 years ago. I mean, actually a little more than 10 years ago because it finished in July or January of 2011. So it was towards the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
What I liked about it was kind of the individuality of a lot of the characters. There wasn't, other than like the first few episodes where you kind of got thrown in with some of the prisoners, like in the dog fight or the dog race.
Yep.
There really wasn't, after those few episodes, everybody was kind of it wasn't just a generic jumpsuit type thing. Everybody kind of had their own
look and style.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody he met along the way had their own personality.
Except for Ganta.
Even if we didn't get
Ganta
too
got
much
the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Yeah, exactly. Credit to Ganta. Which is funny. Now I think about it, even Shiro calls him a crybaby.
Yeah, no, really.
Yeah.
That was his nickname for her nickname for him. But everybody kind of, even if we didn't get a backstory to any of the characters, we at least got their own styles. I mean, whether it was the Undertakers, because there wasn't, the nice part was even with the Undertakers, they were specific badass characters. It wasn't like there was an army behind them of grunts. It was very specific. The Undertakers were high level badass people.
That's not entirely true because there was a bunch of Undertakers that were just generic grunt whatever bullshit. They just had rifles and shit.
They weren't Undertakers. They were just people under the Undertakers.
No, they were Undertakers.
But I mean, even I don't know. I thought they were just kind of grunts.
No, I mean, they were grunt Undertakers.
But I mean, even the ward, it was nice because the warden, she had a cool style to her with the sword and kind of the badassery.
Yeah. The warden wasn't actually an Undertaker at any point, was she? She's
no.
Yeah.
But she it was cool. Give it having her perspective on it too, trying to understand because she was never really keyed into the sketchiness of the director. Because the director had his own kind of plans for Ganta and for Shiro and everybody else, like he planned it. I mean, because he was the lawyer for Ganta, put him in there in the first place. But she was kind of looking at it from her angle, like, what's this sketchy? Like, what's this dude doing? Like, being an asshole.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I put it at a 7. But I mean, so as a whole, that's what 6.
Yeah.
Which puts us at what? So
Well, I said 5.
7.
Wait, did I say 6? I did.
You said 6. And then, so what? 7, 12, 18, 6?
Look at 6.25 or something like that.
18, 6 out of 30?
Yeah, so 6.2.
Sounds about right.
18, 6, 6. 18, 6, 6. We'll round it up to 18, 7. 18, 7 out of 30 as a total. Which is kind of depressing in a little bit of a way, because I do kind of hold this show to high regards, but at the same time I know shows that I would put a lot higher on the list, so I can't really like
I like Deadman.
give it too
Wonderland.
high of a score.
I just
You can't run out the gate with 9s and expect to
No, there's a lot of shows that I hold in much higher regard than Deadman Wonderland, despite liking Deadman Wonderland. And we're still, like, if we're calling 5 our baseline and we're calling it average, we're still giving it a little bit over 6. So we're still calling it an above average show.
For sure. So, I mean, that's definitely going to be one of the top higher tier shows. For sure. Let me do this actually. I'll average it out after.
I mean,
Because what?
It's like a 6.22.
6.22. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Attack on Titan's going to end up being like a
6.2.
4.5. I mean, you know.
Oh God. Out of 10. 6.2 out of 10. That's not bad. Well, that's kind of we're going to try to hold this topic from week to week. We're going to bring a new show to the table. After this, we're actually going to talk about what show we're going to bring up next. There's a few on the list, but we're gonna keep adding stuff every week. So I'm gonna keep posting the picture and update a picture every week after every episode on our Facebook page, to kind of keep where they're all standing on the 1 out of 10 list and all their scores. Throw a picture up there with it. That being said, we are also going to try to do a draft every week, but this week we're going to skip it because of complications from last week. So I'm going to leave the draft up on the Facebook page and our Anchor page, so people can still vote on it all the way up until next week. So we're going to cover that next week, see how that goes. I guess we're going to kind of wrap it up here. We're kind of hitting our average time here anyways. That being said, that is episode 6 of the Anime Happy Hour podcast. Feel free to reach out to us with any suggestions, questions, concerns. We are still somewhat new. We are only episode 6 in, so we're looking for some input. As the episodes go on, we're kind of getting our legs for this show and the anime podcast world. So we hope everybody kind of sticks with us. Feel free to contact us anytime via Facebook at Anime Happy Hour Podcast, or our email at animehappyhour951@gmail.com. You can check out our Anchor page with all of our links, anchor.fm/happyanimehour03. We're currently streaming on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, soon to be Apple Podcasts, and a few other small ones if you want to check them out on our Anchor page. We are also in the process of getting a video recording, so we can kind of post that up on YouTube. So that should be coming in the next few weeks. So that should do it for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to sign off. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
See ya.